Hey you beautiful people, how's it going? And welcome to a new video. So today I'm going to be giving you the overview for the Berserker Shield Crush General's Cry that I've been playing over the past week, which is an excellent invitation farmer, primarily used for farming the field, to be honest with you. Damage is absolutely insane with Emperor's Vigilance this league, for obvious reasons, the same reason that everyone else is using it. You can scale over 70 million DPS very easily, just because the shield allows you to get very easily over 1000 multi and capped crit chance. So, yeah, here is just a little bit of a showcase, and then we're going to go over the gear in a moment, and the tree and whatnot, so I will see you in a second. Okay guys, so very quickly, just a cost overview. This build is not actually that expensive, bar the exception of Emperor's Vigilance is with extremely high ES if you go that route. Totally not necessary though, you can roll with like a 700 one, which is about 5 divines. And the 30% quality Ashes, which I'm also using, which is about 22 divines. But again, you can just go with a lower quality one if you're on more of a budget, and that'll still be absolutely fine. This is just for min-maxing, essentially. Outside of those, build is really cheap. 34 divines in total for the gear that I am wearing. As for the jewels, we do have a couple in there that are a divine. Also, like an Asima Brutal Restraint. One Impale. I don't know why I put Thread of Hope here when it's a Impossible Escape. And then, yeah, Impale plus 2 Watcher's Eye, which is about 1.5 div at the time of recording. So my build, from what you saw from the Fiat showcase, would have been about 40.45. Divines roughly, with a 30% Ashes in there. So yeah, it's actually overall not too bad on the cost for the amount of damage output that you do get. Alright, let's get into the game now. Okay guys, so this is how the setup's going to work. We are going to roll with Divergent Shield Crush. So Divergent Shield Crush, the alternate quality effect gives you 20% to critical strike multiplier per 100 maximum energy shield on shield. So as you can see, mine currently says 80% too, and that is due to the Ashes and the Dialas that it's currently sitting in, which bumps up to 80, and then you combine that with an Emperor's Vigilance with a high roll. For instance, mine has 848 now, which is somewhat expensive. In the showcase, I was using just a slightly cheaper one, which was around 700. But yeah, you can see you get a ton of multi, so you get, from this one in particular, you get 80 times 8, so an absolute bank load of multi there. On top of this, because of the Emperor's Vigilance, combined with Seething Fury as well, which gives you a 0.15% to offhand crit strike chance per 10 ES, and 4% to offhand crit strike multi per 10 ES, you're getting a boatload of critical strike chance and multiplier as well from that, which is, you know, going to easily catapult your multi up to the figures that I have right now, which is 1290 with this current setup. So that's roughly how the build works. Now, well, that's the build base. How the build works is we have a General's Cry over here. So, General's Cry performs a war cry to nearby enemies to attack the user, summoning a Mirage Warrior. Oh, sorry, summoning Mirage Warriors from nearby corpses. The Mirage Warriors each use a linked attack skill once before dissipating. So these are essentially just copies of you that come out and attack. They spawn from corpses. So, as you can see, those are the warriors over here. And to trigger them from having permacorpses, we're using Corpse Walker, which just tosses out corpses as you walk. Making it essentially a walking simulator, because you just put the war cry down here on your movement button, and it will just summon as you go along. So yeah, it's a very convenient, very cozy build, to be honest. That's roughly how it works. Now we'll go on to the actual gear overview. Okay, guys, so getting into the gear very quickly, starting out with the chest. We are using Diala's Malefaction. For obvious reasons, the 30% quality for the Divergent Shield Crush. This gives just an absolute truckload of multi. Best in slot chest by far. Also, in 3.21, it's buffed because of the mastery. 15% increased maximum life if there are no life modifiers on equipped body armor. So, not only do you get the multi, but you're also technically getting 15% increased max life. So yeah, absolutely fantastic chest. Make sure your Shield Crush is in green, and we're good to go. Moving on to the amulet, staple again, Ashes of the Stars. Now, you don't necessarily need 30% to quality either. That is great if you have the budget for it. 20% is fine. 20% is still going to be an absolute boatload of multi for your Shield Crush again. So don't worry too much about getting the 30% if you don't have too much money. Just get yourself a 20. Reservation doesn't really matter either. It is better to have higher one because you might find yourself struggling on accuracy, depending on what level your precision is. But I'm rolling with a 10% and it's fine because I have double accuracy rings. Moving on from that, now obviously the most important part is Emperor's Vigilance with a good ES roll. So for your Crucible tree, the first node has to be Energy Shield. This is the best one you can get, 42 max Energy Shield and reduced Energy Shield recharge rate. My other modifiers actually aren't really good at all, so I wouldn't worry about those for my shield in particular. But you don't even need an 800 ES plus 1 either. The one in the showcase was 700, and the build is fine with a 600, which my friend is playing with. So don't worry too much about buying an expensive one if you don't have the currency. Again, just get yourself a 600 plus one, and it will still have absolutely tons of DPS. So, next up on that, we have Corpse Walker. Corpse Walker, obviously great because it perma-summons the corpses for you to actually summon. This is going to save your life in bosses because, you know, usually for General's Cry, you could potentially have, like, Cyclone and Castle Wall Channeling Desecrate. But this allows you to just basically walk around, as we said earlier. So, yeah, staple. Moving on from these, onto the weapon, we're using the Darkseer. So, Darkseer gives you increased global damage, which is great for offhand damage, as well as maximum life, and it also gives you Unaffected by Blind. So, Unaffected by Blind in this build is working nicely in conjunction with the Brutal Restraint of Nasima. Sorry guys, I'm losing my voice as we talk here. So, what Nasima does is she gives you Second Sight. Second Sight is you are blind, but you get 25% more melee critical strike chance whilst blinded, and then that is just completely negated by the Darkseer. Now, because you're getting 25% more with the Seething Fury over here, this gives you 0.15% to offhand crit strike chance per 10 max ES. So you're getting a load of like base crit from this anyway, on top of the 5% that Shield Crush starts with. And then that's just boosting you up to 100% very, very easily. So this multi will always be applying basically because you're going to have 100% crit. Now, for the Darkseer, you can get a few nodes on it which are actually good. I'm using accuracy, which is nice because I have a low level precision. But you can also get 60% to global critical strike multiplier. Downside will be a minus 3% to the local crit strike chance. So the local crit strike will not matter at all. So that'll just bring the Darkseer's crit strike chance down to 3.2 and giving you 60% global multi, which will affect the Shield Crush. So you could get one of those if you can find one or make one yourself. They should be very cheap. This weapon's about 3C, so yeah, fill your boots on this one. After that, final unique in the actual gear is the Magnate. Pretty staple belt for a lot of melee-esque builds. You get a lot of strength from it, you get resistances, and you get the double damage and the triple damage, which is obviously fantastic. You should be over 400 with relative ease. I'm at 422 right now, and this will help you camp out your res as well, which you will also struggle with a little bit because, as you can see, I'm barely capped on my lightning and fire over there. But yeah, great belt, perfect for melee. So, next up, we have the Sinistral Gloves. Sinistral Gloves for the increased attack damage with the offhand, which applies to the obviously the shield. So big buff for Shield Crush. And then for that, you're just going to want Tri-Res. I'm going for Chaos Res because if you're doing Fear, then you're going to want some Chaos for Chayula. Cold and Fire Res is what I've got on this. Life. Yeah, it's just basically you want Tri-Res and you want some life. Pretty cheap, pretty easy to make. Just get yourself some essences, throw them on. Fill your boots, happy days. And then the helmet, you're just going to want a Berserker with a General's Cry has +1 to maximum number of Mirage Warriors. Those are the Mirage Warriors, so essentially getting another version of yourself to clap some cheeks with. Good times, good vibes. And again, you just want res, life, strength, anything, something like that. And then you're probably going to want to get mana reservation, efficiency on the implicit, and then whatever you want on the second one. I went for lightning res just to make me a little bit tankier. But there are better ones out there that you could potentially get. Onto the rings. You'll need a bit of int in the build. I've got life, accuracy, int, and some res on this one. Preferably would want an open prefix for the minus mana cost of skills. But it's absolutely fine if you don't have it. I have it on one of them, which is okay. And this one is just double res accuracy. No life on this one. As you can see, it's pretty garbage. I could slam it with an exalt, to be honest, but doesn't matter too much. And then, yeah, non-challenge skills. See, these rings are literally like 5C as well. This is, I made this with a budget when I first started, and I just haven't bothered upgrading it because it has so much DPS. It has like, I think I'm at 74 million DPS or something like that. As for the flask, you can use a Lion's Roar, you can use a Bottled Faith if you really want. I'm not particularly using one. One thing I will say about this build is if you want to do mapping, it's not a great mapper because of the way it works. You know, you summon the guys behind you. So if you want to make this a somewhat okay mapper, just make sure you have a phasing flask. If you do not have a phasing flask, you're going to have a bad time. That's all I'm going to say. You're going to have a bad time. So phasing, you just walk through mobs, you go along, and you'll just walk past. These guys will come out from behind, and they'll clap the cheeks for you. No worries there. But yeah, other than that, take your pick on what you want on flash. Just make sure you have a phasing guaranteed. Alright, we're going to move on to the skill tree next, and the jewels. So I'll catch you in a sec. Okay guys, coming into the skill tree now, how I leveled this up was Hollow Palm, and then I just did some 5-ways as always, because this is my second character. So I don't have a leveling tree for you, just do Hollow Palm, do 5-ways, and then there you go, fill your boots after one 5-ways rotor. So as for the tree, not too much to cover after that, POB is in the description. Yeah, as for the jewels on it though, we're going to want to take, obviously the Brutal Restraint down here for the Nasima's second sight over here. Also, you can get like crit strike chance over here on these nodes, and maybe something on this one. You can also get max life and stuff like that, which is pretty dope. We are using the Impaler, Impossible Escape, as mentioned at the start of the video, and that will bring you down here to this node where you can pick up Dismembering, Bastion Breaker, as well as Merciless Skewering. Merciless Skewering will give you 100% Impale, and it will also give you the Impale effect and the Overwhelm and stuff like that, which is pretty nice. You might struggle with accuracy, and you might have to take an accuracy mastery. Now, if you're just doing bosses, you can take 40% increased accuracy rating against unique enemies, and that'll be fine. I just took Dexterity's accuracy bonus instead, grants +3, and I'm capped. With my current setups, that's fine for me. Yeah, a few mana res nodes here as well, with the 8% increased damage of skills. You're going to want a small cluster, with increased mana reservation efficiency and uncompromising on it, so that you can fit in determination with your pride and whatnot. As for the large clusters, we're going to be using 2 of them, Battle Harden, Force Multiplier, and Master the Fundamentals. And we're going to be taking all of these nodes because they're all just great damage, res, stuff like that. So yeah, 2 of these, and they're quite cheap at like just sub a divine, I think. It's not too bad. Another good thing to note is the new mastery for 10% more maximum physical attack damage up here, which is very, very nice. Yeah, just adding a 10% more into a mastery is just insane. So there you go, we've got that. That's cool. As for the medium clusters, we are rocking Rattling Bellow in all of them, and then we have just a mixture after that. So in this one, we have Warning Call, which increases your armor per 5 power, which will make you tankier for just general mapping. Up here, we have, again, Rattling, and then we have Lead by Example. So Lead by Example, when you Warcry, you and nearby allies gain Onslaught for 4 seconds. You're always Warcrying because it's on your main movement skill, so it's basically perma Onslaught. And the final one is going to be a Mob Mentality, as well as Rattling again. And this will give you exerted attacks, deal 25% increased damage, and Warcries have 5% chance to grant Endurance, Frenzy, or Power Charge per power. So yeah, you're basically going to get perma charges, Onslaught, just from walking around and Warcrying, which is going to be absolutely fantastic. So yeah, as for that, inside these, we do have the Impale +2 Pride, which is obviously fantastic, loads of DPS. Seething Fury, again, for obvious reasons, staple in the build. And the final one is just going to be a multi-duel. Now, you can get multi Global Fizz attack damage, which is a hell of a lot of damage. Or you could drop one of the attack damage Global Fizz for life, if possible. Anything, as long as you have double multi and like one of the other stats, you should be good to go. That's pretty much the best you can get. Yeah, that's about it for the tree. You're going to want the Warcry nodes. POB's in the description, so if you want to just grab that and follow it, then, yeah, fill your boots. Finally, guys, going over the gem link. So we're going to start with the chest setup. So Divergent Shield Crush has to be in a green. After that, we have Awakened Melee Fizz. General's Cry, which is obviously linked to Divergent Shield Crush, is your 6th link. Awaken Brutality for insane damage multiplier. Impale support. And Pulverize. You can get Anomalous Pulverize, but it doesn't make too much of a difference, so I wouldn't worry about it too much. But yeah, this is my current setup in my 6th link. Moving on to the Shield, Determination, Pride, and Dread banner in here. No need for Enlighten in this build, so don't worry about it as long as you have the similar setup to mine. Those are going to be our auras that we're running. We're also going to be running over here Blood and Sand as well, which obviously you swap stances depending on what you're doing. If you're against bosses, then you're just gonna, switch to blood. If you're against, well, if you're just mapping, sand is nice. So, yeah, that's what we got there. And then we just have a small cast 1 damage taken setup. I got 2 and 4 here because I accidentally overleveled the cast 1 damage taken by 1, but it's still fine. Yeah, in our boots, precision, another aura, portal, cast on death because you will die, because this build is not unkillable. It's not even particularly tanky because it's made to farm rota. So if you're doing mapping, be prepared to die every now and then. You won't die too often. You won't like walk into a map and fall over, but you will die every now and then. Precision, just for the accuracy and crit chance. And then we have Splitting Steel. Splitting Steel grants you Call of Steel. So basically, when you're mapping, this will help you a lot. You just walk. These guys will come out and hit like a pack of mobs, leave all the impales in. And then when you pull the Call of Steel out, based on the damage, it's going to one-hit every other mob around it. So that's essentially how you'd mount. You just walk along and you just press Call of Steel, Call of Steel, Call of Steel. It's very easy. Helps with like Blights, Abyss, stuff like that. And it makes the mapping actually somewhat okay. Not the speediest mapper because it's not made for mapping. But yeah, it's still fine for mapping. After that, we've got Ancestral Warchief, Maim, Pulling Strike, and Shield Charge. You could technically link Shield Charge to Fortify if you really wanted to. Because if you take a look at our tooltip for Shield Charge, we do have 600k because it's scaling also with Emperor's Vigilance. So you do get a lot of damage from Shield Charge in it, and you can just kill mobs with Shield Charge as well. But yeah, it's up to you if you want to link Fortify or not. I use Maim just because it's also linked to the totem with Culling. And then after that, we have Enhance level 3, Life Tap, and Berserk. Obviously, being a Berserker, you get Berserk all the time, and it gets generated very easily with the power and the Ascendancy. So, yeah, I mean, you just spam Berserk with Life Tap. We also have Vulnerability on Self-Cast as well, which you probably, to be honest, won't need to cast that much, because most stuff melts without it. But if you are doing, like, Feared or something, it's very easy to just press Vulnerability for, like, 2 seconds, and everything will melt. Yeah, that's just about it for the gems. As for the Pantheons for the build, I haven't really done much with my Pantheons aside to unaffected by Burning Ground, just for mapping a little bit easier. And then this one's Soul of the Brian King as well, so you cannot be stunned, which doesn't really matter. I've only got this for 100% chance to avoid being frozen. We have 90 Fizz mitigation already, and to be honest, damage over time isn't really that bad, because we have the Mastery down here, which recovers life when you use a War Cry, so every few seconds we recover 15 life just from walking around anyway. So yeah, it's not too necessary, but yeah, I would go for this for cannot be frozen, just because there is no ailment immunity in this build either. Yeah, that's just about it. I did actually forget to go over the Ascendancy. As for the Ascendancy, we have over here, so Warbringer, which is obviously granting the rage per the power and whatnot, and exerted attack still 50% more attack damage if you, if a Warcry sacrifice rage recently. We also go for Create the Slaughter, of course, and Rite of Ruin, and Aspect of Kind, pretty standard stuff, to be honest with you, so yeah, that's just about it, guys. Alright, any questions, feel free to drop by the Discord or the Twitch and throw them to me and I'll help you out. But yeah, that's just about it. I hope you enjoyed the build and enjoy your invitation farming, guys. Take care. Peace. Before I go, big shout out to my King and God tier Patreon supporters: Sen, Multi-K, Nifty, Isaiah, Pandoxy, Gavin, Stu, Anti-Swipe, Wag, and Dan S. You guys are awesome. Thank you so much for the support, and I'll catch you in the next one. Take care.